Welcome back to Money Mastery with Marshy. This is your host, Daniel Marshall. And in episode number 85 of the podcast, I'm joined by Lewis Denver. And we're actually sitting in his business right now called Recycle Bicycle Sales. Lewis, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome to the shop.
Well, there we go. This is cool. This is the first time I've actually recorded a podcast like this in someone's actual place of work and their shop. And the crazy thing is, Lewis, I actually just live up the road from your shop.
Yeah.
I've been living in Adelaide for a few years now, and I actually saw your signs on the streets for all these years, recycled bicycles. I'm like, what is this all about?
Good.
And obviously, I bumped into you at a networking event probably a few months ago, and I just felt like I had to reach out to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then I finally came down here a couple of weeks ago to your shop to meet you, and I was just super impressed by what you've built here at Recycled Bicycles and just you as a person. And the way that you go about things, I can appreciate the effort and the craft that you've got here. So that's why I had to get you on here to talk to you.
Oh man, my heart's so full. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be on here as well. When you came into the cafe the other day to first meet me and you said, I live just down the road, I was like, perfect. That's awesome. It's going to make it easy for both of us to be able to have a chat. And met at the networking event.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that, but that was probably only a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago.
I think I rediscovered you when I saw you hanging out with the real estate agents down at Tarnby.
Yeah.
And I saw the what we call it, mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
The talk you were doing with them.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that was like actually your job. That was what you actually do.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a side hobby, but I was very impressed. So shot you a message.
There we go, man. And here we are today, and this is cool. Like, it's a Monday morning here. We're in Adelaide. The sun is shining through, and we're being creative. We're doing some cool stuff as well, and and it's crazy because I know like your life would have been so much different not that long ago before you were doing what you're doing here now at Recycle Bicycles.
I suppose it is. It was, but nowadays it's kind of just, Monday is Monday, Tuesday is Tuesday. I kind of just go around. Going about my day, I suppose. But I suppose life has sort of changed, but now it's just normal. Like I come to my bike shop, I service bikes, I sell bikes, I help a lot of customers out. That's kind of just what I do. But previous to that, like I've been working in bike shops for almost 13 years now. So bike shops are just simply what I do. But I've had my own bike shop for about 3 years now.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think is pretty exciting. I can call it mine.
Yeah, okay. Well, before we dive into your backstory, Lewis, tell us a little bit more about Recycled Bicycles and what your business actually is and does, because it's pretty unique.
Sure, thank you. So Recycled Bicycle Sales is Adelaide's only pre-owned bicycle shop. So we sell all the second-hand bikes here in Adelaide. A lot of the like sort of premium stuff, so the carbon fiber, like racing bikes and that sort of thing. We sell on consignment, so we don't buy and sell. We sell on behalf of people, kind of like a real estate agent, but for push bikes, if that makes sense. So I can have all this stock in here, but I didn't have to buy the stock at the start. And it also means that I can hopefully try and get the best value for the customer, because being the fact that it's a percentage-based commission, the more it sells for is in my interest and their interest. So I obviously want to do as well as I can for them. But I think cycling as a sport and a hobby, and the people that are shaving their legs and that type of cyclist, I think it's becoming a pretty rich man's sport. And I've worked in bike shops, I was just saying before, for 10 years before I quit and started my own, or quit my job and started my own. And it's just becoming a really rich man's sport. Like you can't just get into it as like I'll give it a try. You've got to invest so much money. I was pretty sick of seeing that. And I thought, I reckon I can do this for a way better price. And now we're selling the same, $3,000 bike for $1,500, something like that. And maybe it's just got new tires on it or something like that, because it's a second-hand bike. So I like being people's first like entrance into cycling. So I get to introduce them to how cool bikes are and how to ride bikes and all the good things about it.
Yeah. I love that. So in a nutshell, real estate agent for bikes.
That's exactly it, except I don't wear a suit. That's probably the main difference. And I don't take a $30,000 commission or whatever real estate agents are on.
Yeah, okay. And that's when Lewis told me that he's a real estate agent for bikes. It just clicked straight away. It's just such a good way for someone to appreciate and understand what you do. And it's cool because you're actually positioned. There's a couple of real estate businesses just near you, so you're kind of right in that space.
Yeah, I learn from them. They learn from me. We will help each other out.
Yeah. Now, Lewis, my dad actually popped into your store, I think last week or the week before.
Oh, right.
He didn't tell you he was my dad.
Okay.
Because my dad's a very keen cyclist. He's been cycling for many years. My uncle's a very keen cyclist too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came in and he was super impressed, and he was telling me like how, because I don't know bikes that well, but he knows he knows them a lot. But he said these are impressive bikes in here, and what you do in here is they're pretty much brand new, like because the work that you're putting into them before you sell them.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's cheeky. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that I passed the test.
Absolutely, but that's the thing, because you do care about your craft, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Like, it sounds so cheesy, but like customer does come first. Like, as long as I give the customer a good experience, and by customer that can be split into two people. That could be the buyer of the new bike or the person that's selling the new bike. If I can just make it so that they walk out smiling, they're probably going to talk about me at the dinner table, and then that word of mouth spreads. So, I put a big emphasis on that actually. Customer stuff and making sure that they're happy, whether it's happy with money, whether it's happy with experience, whether it's they got the right size, whether it's whatever. I just want them to be happy, and money will follow, whatever. But as long as they're happy, then word of mouth will spread. So I try and treat people like people, which is a big thing that I say, that I've been saying for years on all the different social stuff that we do. But bike shops treat people like numbers now, and I like people to be people. Yeah, evident through the wall.
Yeah, and I was going to say it stands out. Customer service obviously stands out. When I was speaking to you a few weeks back, that stood out to me as well. And you can't see this at the moment, guys, but on this wall right in front of me, there's lots and lots of photos of very happy. Yeah, pull one down, Lewis. So you probably there you go. Put it up to the camera.
Okay, you probably can't see it too well, but anyway, bunch of Polaroids.
But there's a bunch of Polaroids here with happy customers that you've served at Recycle Bicycle. There's a lot of pictures there, and on the wall back there as well, there's 150 Google reviews printed out.
149 at the moment. It'll be 150 soon.
Well, there you go, nearly 150 Google reviews. So it shows that what Lewis is doing here is top class, sensational work, and you do care about the customer. And there's lots of little details that Lewis goes into as well to ensure that his customers have sensational experiences, isn't that?
Thank you. Yeah. Do you want to hear a crazy thought?
Yeah. Tell us.
Every customer on that wall, I don't know if you take a quick guess there, 500 maybe? 500 photos?
It's a lot.
I've shook hands with all of those people.
All of them. There you go.
So whenever I'm sitting in a slump and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing enough and woe is me and it's all too hard and whatever, I look at that and I think like, maybe it's all right. Maybe it's okay. So it's a good representation when a customer walks in here and they're like, oh, wow, he's sold lots of bikes, so he probably knows how to get me on the correct bike and not just take my money. But it also just helps me out a little bit when I'm sitting in a slump and I'm like, all these people are happy riding a bike. Yeah. And I was a little part of that.
Yeah. I love that. It's like it's an evidence wall, isn't it? It's like...
Yeah. It started with one.
Yeah, and that's how exactly. Yeah. What's it like looking back? Now you've got so many photos on this wall. Yeah. What was it like when you put your first one up there compared to now, like if you're looking back?
The first one, the first customer that bought a bike here actually happens to also be my accountant. So shout out, Lockie, thank you for that. He was my first photo for the wall. But like I can look through here and I could remember like at least a little bit or a full story of every name that's on the wall. Because I've got their name on each of the Polaroids as well and the date they bought it. And I can see what bike it is. And sometimes another silly one, like a car will come in the car park and I'll see them take the bike out of the car and I'll see that it's a red Trekker-Monda. And I'm like, red Trekker-Monda. Oh, that's Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how you going? So I don't know if that's cheating, but I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
If you walk into a shop and someone remembers your name, I reckon that's about as good as it gets. I think in a sales environment. Yeah, but that's just my mentality on it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And there's lots of other little details. I'm not sure. Maybe some of them you don't want to share as well. But I remember you telling me a couple of weeks ago some of the other little things that you do to go the extra mile to ensure your customers have a great experience, not just during the process, but even afterwards. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the little touch points that you have after someone's actually bought or sold with you?
All right. Yeah, I'm a pretty open book. I don't really have anything to hide, by the way. So I'm happy to talk about whatever questions you've got. The mission statement that's on my website kind of explains a little bit about why I have such a strict follow-up procedure. The mission here at Recycle Bicycle Sales is to create a tailor-made and stress-free bicycle resale environment by going far beyond the initial sales routine. And I've spent the first couple of years, we're now about to roll into the third year of the shop. I've spent the first couple of years focusing on the first part of that mission to create a tailor-made and stress-free bicycle resale environment. So I've got every bike that comes in here, you can see all the pieces of paper that are stapled on it. It's a 60-point roadworthy checklist. So we know that every bike's safe. So the buyer and seller know that it's a safe environment because the bike is safe. And if there's a scratch, I'll say it. But now that I feel like I've got that part of the business working and fluent, I'm happy to start thinking about the second part, which is by going far beyond the initial sales routine. And a couple of different people that I listen to, Ryan Serhant's a big one that I'd listen to a lot. He's a real estate agent in New York, probably one of the biggest in America, maybe. And he talks a lot about just customer experience as well. So he's obviously a real estate agent making lots of money, but he actually does sound like he cares about his customers. So reason I was saying that was I've got different touch points with a customer. So when someone buys a bike and they go out of the store, talking about the buyer, I want to make sure that they still remember me as a friend, because that's right. One of the things Ryan Serhant says, and I'm sure a lot of salespeople say as well, is people don't like being sold. They like shopping with friends. So if I can become their friend first, and then I know their kid's name, and they brought their dog in, and it was a black lab, and I've got a black lab too, and we're friends now, or at least a little bit of rapport. And then I'm like, oh, while you're here, by the way, I have this bike that happens to be your size and it's within your budget. Do you want it? No stress, but if you want it, I've got it. So I just try and become their friend first. And I think that's the way that everybody should go. That's not necessarily a sales environment. That's just a life thing. You should always try and become someone's friend first. And then, once they've bought the bike and hopefully they've had a good experience, they've got their photo on the wall, and we're giggling while we're trying to fit the bike in the back of the car and whatever else is happening. I've got follow-up touch points after. So I've got one at different intervals throughout the life of the bike, I suppose. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months. And it's more just, it's never me asking for money or please send a friend in, or hey, can you, or do you need to come in and buy a new water bottle, or whatever, something like that. It's never really me asking for money. It's just me trying to just continue a friendship. I'd like to hope that all these people would maybe consider me a friend. I'm sure there's probably variables in it, but I think that's an important part in my mind. So
are they there with you when you put those photos on the wall?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll take the photo there. You can probably tell if you have a close look, but they're all at the exact same spot just out there. And we take the photo, and then I come in and I write it down, and I make sure I'm spelling their name right as well. Some people don't want their last name on there as well, so they'll mention that. Some people don't want a photo, which is also fair enough. But I invite everybody to do it. I think the trick in sales as a whole is to literally just try and be a friend. And then if you happen to have the thing that they're looking for, you don't have to sell it. You just have to tell them, hey, this is the thing you asked for. Do you still want it? So, I don't know. Maybe that's a silly way to go about sales, because you're supposed to make money and you're supposed to do this and do that. But there's nothing worse than selling the wrong product to someone and then them coming back and saying that it's the wrong product.
That's it. Well, I guess people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're building that. A couple other things that I recall from our last conversation. What about on birthdays? You do something a bit different on that. Tell us about that. I'm pretty proud of that one. So I use Google Sheets a lot. That's where I've got all my customer data, and I've got a little, what do you call it, algorithm thing set up so that it highlights when it's the day before my customer's birthday, because I like to be that guy that sends them a message. Hey, happy birthday for tomorrow. Hope your bike's going well. Are there any upgrades you're thinking about that you want to know if they're compatible or whatever? Whatever I'll say. Hopefully something that I remember chatting about when they came in store. But I feel like that's a pretty good
friend thing to do to send them a text before their birthday.
Yeah, I've never heard of someone until Lewis said that sending them a text before their birthday. Like that's just going the extra mile, and it's unexpected because usually if anything, it's going to be the day after because people may forget. But you're being proactive and being the day before, and it's helping you stand out in their mind as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it probably sounds a little bit over the top. There's probably someone listening to this being like, "Oh, that's too much," and you don't have to reply to the text. You can just let the text go, and I'm sorry if you didn't like it, but I liked it. So
I love it. The other thing that I also really like is your handwritten letters.
Yeah.
Tell us about your handwritten letters.
That's a month after.
Okay.
That's 4 weeks after. I don't think it's that hard. I read a book. I think it was called Influence by Robert Cialdini. You probably read it as well.
Yeah.
And I think there was a chapter that he spoke about in there with the best or the most successful, as in has sold the most cars in America, like the best car salesman in America or whatever. I can't remember his name, but it'll be in the book. But something that he did is, Easter time would come around or Christmas time or whatever, and he'd send a postcard to all the customers, and he'd have thousands and thousands that have bought cars from him, and he wouldn't even say, hey, come in for a service, or hey, send a friend in, or anything. He'd just say, and it sounds so cheesy, he'd just say, thinking about you, on like the back of his business card or whatever it is. And it had a Christmas logo on there as well, or whatever, so it was contextualized for the right time of year. But then people would open that up in their letterbox, and if he sends out 1,000 and 10 people reply, that's all right. So I think mine probably go a little bit more in depth, but I get a sore hand by the end of doing a full month's worth of,
I can imagine,
ones. But and then my nana, who's staff here, she takes them to the post office for me.
Oh, good.
So, puts all the postage stamps on, takes them to the post office.
There you go.
Yeah, so now it's a family business because I've got my nana and my sister here.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you got your nana and your sister here, and that.
Yeah,
but I feel like just going that extra mile, writing a handwritten note. I've received those before, and I've given those before. And when you do receive a handwritten note or a handwritten gift, sometimes I like to send like a book with a handwritten message.
Yeah,
it's just when you receive something like that, it shows that the person truly cares and they've invested time in this note, whatever it is. Because sometimes you can do a printed note and you can tell it's quite automated. But when you do, when you actually take the time to do a handwritten note and you go to the effort to post it, even if it's just like a Christmas card or a birthday card, whatever it is, it just shows that you care.
Yeah. You obviously live in a house, and I'm sure whenever you go to the letterbox and you open up your letterbox and you see mail in there, if you're anything like me, you're like, oh, damn it, it's probably a bill. And I hate my letterbox because it's always a bill. But every now and then, if you get one that's not a bill, I think that can make your day.
Agree.
And again, that's all that you have to do as a salesperson is just be a nice person. It's really not that hard. So
it's pretty easy. Well, hey guys, I hope we're obviously talking about Lewis and his bike shop, but there's a lot of really good sales lessons in this conversation so far as well. And I can appreciate the level of detail that you go to, because I can straight away when I was talking to you, a few weeks back, I could tell you're not just like here just trying to make a living. And I can tell that you have a bigger vision and a grander vision behind everything that you do. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, a written plan of how it needs to go.
Yeah, a written plan. Okay. Yeah. When did you write this plan?
I first wrote it when I quit my job, which was like early COVID days. I was working at a different bike shop here in Adelaide as well, and my boss pretty much just said, like, if you're going to do anything, do it 100%. So either 100% working at my bike shop or 100% trying your own side hustle. And I said, okay, I'm going to bet on me every time. So I quit and I started my own job.
Nice.
But that was kind of when I wrote the first one, which was just like an A4 page, just an essay, like, this is how much money we need to make. This is how much the shop's going to cost. This is how people are going to find out about me. This is what I want a customer to say when they leave the shop, or whatever, all this sort of stuff. This is what we'll do in a service to make sure it's safe, all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of evolved. And I rewrote it when I met my business coach, Michael. And that was probably a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago now. And instead of it just being an A4 page, it's like a 20-page like fleshed out document with like different aspects of it. But the main part of it is at different years we've got different like goals to hit and sort of how we'll hit them, but not even just like money goals or number of customer goals or whatever. We've got mental health goals, family goals eventually. That's how far the plan kind of goes. But we call it a roadmap. That's a big thing. We call it a roadmap, not a plan.
Okay.
Because a plan is a little bit difficult to differ from if something comes up. So if you've got a plan of how you're going to get from A to B, and then a tree falls down in the way, you've got to make a new plan. But if you've got a roadmap, you just know that you've got to go from here to there, but you can kind of see what the other roads look like around here. Maybe they're just not highlighted yet because they're not on the the Google Maps path yet, but there are other paths around it. So if a tree falls down on that street, what's sort of the roadmap to get around it? So
Gotcha.
Yeah, we call it a roadmap, and I look at it every now and then. I probably don't look at it every week or anything like that, but it's like my Bible. Yeah, I kind of come back to it when I need.
Yeah, nice. And so it's kind of like you've got this vision of where you're going, and the roadmap it allows fluidity. It's like it doesn't. You're not trying to control how it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like because things are going to come up, obstacles will appear, but it's about you can kind of dance with it and get to that vision in your own unique way.
Exactly. Yeah, and something you just said then, obstacles going to appear. Absolutely, obstacles are going to appear. And on that, I'm going to take it down a little side quest, but I'll come back
to it.
I think that obstacles are good, that hurdles are good. I have this mentality that I think is pretty cool. I don't know, maybe there might be a listener that thinks it's pretty cool as well. And I got it tattooed. I call it the rule of thirds.
Okay.
And I believe that you're supposed to have, if you're striving towards a goal and you're trying to do this amazing thing, like I think I heard it from an Olympian friend of mine initially. So their goal was Olympics, a pretty clear written goal of getting to the Olympics. And they were saying that in the pursuit of a goal, you're supposed to live life in the rule of thirds. And by that, I mean that if there are 30 days in a month, 10 of them should, if all's going to plan, 10 of them should be good, amazing days. And you're like, hell yeah, I won today. Going to bed just like giggling, like, hell yeah, I did so well that day. You're supposed to have a third of just another day, another dollar. It is what it is. I did what I needed to do, but, I don't think I really moved the needle forward, but I got by. And then you're supposed to have a third of bad days. Those ones where you're like, maybe not necessarily crying, that's quite bad, but some of those days where you're at the shop until 11 o'clock at night and you're like, what is going on? Or you said you were going to call 10 people and you only called one, or that sort of thing. I think you're supposed to have bad days because it's the juxtaposition of a bad day that makes a good day good. So reason I was going down that path is you were talking about hurdles or obstacles. Sorry. Yeah. You said sometimes obstacles come in the way. Good. I think if it was easy sailing the whole way and you were always having these really happy days, truth be told, I think the goal that you're striving for is probably just not big enough and it's not scary enough. So you're just kind of getting by. But then you could contextualize that down any path. So if it's always good, great, amazing days, goal's probably not big enough. If it's always just another day, another dollar, you're probably not really doing anything all that fun. You're probably just, I don't know, just watching Netflix all day, which obviously has its place, but you're just not doing anything. You're just sitting there. And then if you're always having bad days, something's not lined up right. Maybe you're not ready yet for that thing that you're trying to do, or I don't know. Maybe there's like a chemical imbalance. Maybe it's like you're not exercising enough. Of course, it'll always come back to not exercising and drinking enough water. But point I'm trying to say is you're supposed to have bad days. So when you have obstacles that come up on the roadmap, it sucks in the moment, but that means that tomorrow is going to be a good day. So that's kind of what gets me past that. Yeah,
I love that. It's a great perspective to have as well. And obstacles are part of the journey.
Exactly.
And again, you've got to have like the harder times to add contrast to the great times. And if it's and that's where I feel a lot of people. And I used to be like this myself. Where I was kind of just flatlining in life. There wasn't really any big highs or any big lows. I was just kind of flatlining.
Yeah.
But when you go more down the entrepreneurial journey,
Yes.
you're naturally going to have big highs and big lows, but
Yeah.
it just adds contrast to the journey.
Mm.
And I always tell my wife Casey, because we've had plenty of challenges in our journey, and I kind of reinforce to her that during those tough times, during those bad days, we're going to look back on these with so much gratitude, because we're going to be like, this was the character building moment. These are the most pivotal parts of the story, and I actually like the bad days now because there's so much lessons and wisdom and stories in them.
I totally agree, man. You're making me just want to cry just even thinking about it. I believe in that so strongly, that like you're literally supposed to have bad days, and you were just saying with your wife as well that you're going to look back on those bad days and be like, dude, the good old days, or whatever,
Exactly.
when mortgage is coming out this month, and you're like, how the am I going to do that, or whatever it is, and you'll be like, man, I remember when that was the biggest stress that I had at the time.
Yeah.
I was cleaning out my house the other day, and I went into one of my bedside table drawers, and I found a journal that had dust on it, and I haven't touched it for years. And I looked at it, and I was like, oof, pretty sure I remember what I wrote in there. So I had a little read, and it was the few months leading up to before I got this shop here. So this business, Recycle Bicycle Sales, was initially running out of my house. So I had 80 bikes in my house. You couldn't walk around, which was pretty stressful. Like if somebody breaks in, I've got $500,000 worth of other people's bikes in my house, and if I sent a Snapchat to my friends, I wouldn't want there to be bikes in the background. All this anyway. So I was pretty mean to myself in this journal there, and there was one little piece of wisdom that I'm so glad that I wrote down there, and it made me realize that like maybe I've got my head screwed on at least a little bit. But I said that I put an offer in on this shop and on a different shop, and I didn't get it, and it would have been perfect. It would have fixed all my problems, and I'm so upset. And I said, I'm in a room of depression right now. I've locked my door. I'm snotty crying. I'm writing all this stuff. And then I said in the next sentence, but I know that in hindsight it won't matter. But at the moment it feels like the end of the world, because whatever ends up happening will be perfect. And whatever did happen, this shop here, instead of the other shop I was looking at, it did work out pretty well. And I'm pretty glad it didn't go that way. But at the time I didn't think that. So
it's tough. And I love that you're obviously a reflective person, because you can go back and you can see words that you've written years ago or whenever it was. And it's great, because I feel like that's the power of writing things down. It takes you back on a journey of where you've been, and it's just such a powerful reflective tool, because sometimes we forget, and particularly I feel like successful people doing quite good things, sometimes they can feel like they're not progressing or not where they want to be. But when you dig up an old diary and you read what you wrote those years ago, you're like, wow, like I can see the leaps that I've taken since then.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's such a strong takeaway that hopefully at least one person at home gets from this, to just write a journal. It doesn't have to be like anything special. Just write something down, because in 3 years you'll find that piece of paper again, and you'll be like, wow, I was doing that, or I was upset about that thing, or I was hanging out with these people, or whatever ends up happening. You'll be pretty impressed when you rediscover that later. So
I love that. Is it cool if I share one of my little things with you?
Please, yeah, it's what we're here for. Absolutely.
Yeah, so one of my little reflective pieces is so every morning I have a cold shower.
Okay.
And I've been having a cold shower for, I think it's like 2,112 days in a row, something like that. So every morning I've got a big diary. I write CS 2112, just depending on how it is.
Okay. Yeah.
But the reason why it kind of coincides with the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey,
yes,
like very closely. Yeah. So for me, the cold shower is I can look back in my previous diaries and be like, what was I doing at cold shower day number 100? Like where was I in life? And I'm really keen to see. So when it gets cold shower day 10,000 in the future, this is still like a long way away.
Yeah.
It's like, what will life be like then? So it's like my cold shower kind of habit. It's like this powerful reflective tool where I can look back to the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey to see what life was like.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. That's so cool. You're able to calculate it like that, and you can have like your little milestones along the way. Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah, so I'm all about reflection, and I love that you're about that too, and building the vision too. And I just like going back to the roadmap thread, just having that too, because I feel like a lot of times people with traditional goal setting, people can set goals, and we try and control the outcome, how it's going to happen. But it's more liberating when you still have that, you still have plans or roadmaps, but you just allow life to fill in the details to a degree.
And it's so hard letting life hold the reins a little bit, but you kind of have to. So you've just got to be ready to roll with the punches, I guess. Yeah. And I don't know. Everyone's got their own different story, but I think we can all agree on that little bit there as well. Just saying you kind of just got to go with it a bit.
100%.
Yeah. But have a direction though. But yeah.
Now, Lewis, something that really impressed me when we had a coffee not long ago was we were talking about Alex Hormozy. If you guys haven't heard of Alex Hormozy, he's a beast in the business space. He's huge over YouTube and podcasts, and his content's brilliant. And we were talking, was it $100 million offers, I believe was the book we were talking about.
First one. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was something that you created on the back of that book which just blew me away because I'd kind of read this and I'd done this a little bit myself, but nowhere near to the extent that you've done this. Can you tell us about what that exercise was from $100 million offers?
Thank you. I'm pretty proud of that actually because it took a little while. Alex Hormozy runs this massive business, but he's worked his way up through other businesses, and the one that he's doing at the moment is at least the stuff that I take from him is he does lots of free stuff, like heaps of YouTube videos and selling books for 99 cents and that kind of thing. And he's literally just trying to help business owners get better at what they're doing, make more money, help more people, whatever. So I take a lot of his advice pretty closely. He wrote a book called $100 Million Offers, and then he followed it up with another book called $100 Million Leads, but the offers book. And in each chapter, he talks about so many different things about how to make the product that you're offering to the customer like a grand slam offer, just like an absolutely perfect, as good as it can be from the buyer's side of things, from the person that's giving you the money, I suppose. So not talking about how to get more customers and not talking about how to convert leads and make more money and whatever. He's just trying to talk about how to literally make the best product you can, so that why on earth would they bother looking anywhere else, because yours is just perfect. So with that in mind, I went through each of the chapters. I think I've read the book a couple of times now. I'm a pretty big fan of it. And at the end of each chapter, he gives a bit of homework, and he says, how can you I'm having a brain fart at the moment. I can't think of the name of any of the chapters, but he might have said something like, how can you make it so that your product is faster? So you can make it like they get to their final destination, their goal quicker, for example. So, all right, you brainstorm, you write down a couple of ideas. All right, cool, Next chapter, how to do this. Okay, here's a couple of ideas. Next chapter, here to do this. And then at the end of the book, there's a link on the last page or a QR code or whatever, and it takes you to his website. And then there's this video of him talking, and he's like, all right, now that you've done all your homework, put it together like this, and this is what it's going to look like. Here's an A4 piece of paper, and that's what your grand slam offer is. That's what you're going to offer to customers, and that's why they're not going to bother looking anywhere else. So I took that and I did it, and now I've got a whole folder on it, not just an A4 piece of paper. So I think I showed you the problems and solutions.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, so Lewis has this whole folder of this exercise that he's done from the book, and it's the problems and the solutions. Talk us through this, because this is powerful for anyone who's in business to understand, but just the level that you went to, like, it's so impressive for so many reasons. But tell us about that specific exercise that's in that book that you've got.
Thank you. One of the chapters, he says, just write down every problem that your customer could come into, like whether it's like specifically tied with the product or service that you're trying to do, or even just like a little bit out. Just write down every problem. I obviously sell pre-owned bikes. I sell second-hand bikes. So I think, all right, if a customer, before they're even a customer, if a human decides that they want to get into cycling and they know nothing about bikes, nothing at all, they just know that it's got two wheels and you have to pedal it to go forward. That's all they know about bikes. They don't know about frame size. They don't know about what carbon fiber is. They don't know about what it's like to ride on the road, what are clip-in pedals. They don't know what the handlebars are supposed to feel like, different tires, what's safe, is it stolen, is it serviced, is it and literally just go down and write as many problems as you can get out of your head until you're like really wringing that towel dry. I would have wrote down maybe 100, and they can be pretty blasé ones, like How can I pay for a second-hand bike?
Mm.
That might be a weird one because you've got Pay ID, you've got cash, you've got bank transfer, you've got FPOS machine, you've got this, that. That was just one idea, but write down as many problems as you can. And then on the other side of the piece of paper, with whatever problem that was, write down a solution or a couple of solutions. And it might be, an example might be, how do I know if a bike is not stolen, for example? That might be one problem. And then the solution might be, how to know if a bike is not stolen. And then you can flesh it out one bit further into, solutions for that problem. And it might be checking that it has a serial number and maybe putting that serial number into the database on a particular website that we've got. And you can check if it's been listed as stolen, or you could call the police station and see if they are trying to find this bike for someone or whatever. So I think you've got to dedicate a bit of time to really thinking about this. But if you can get through that, when you get through that and you've worked out all the different problems that you think that your client or customer could have, then any, not rebuttal, but any question that they've got, you've probably got an answer already. And that's not some sales technique. That's just like being a good person. Because again, I'm trying to give them the best offer. It's not about, how am I going to make $1,000 instead of $900? It's not about that. It's about how am I going to make them think that $1,000 is not enough? They should be giving me $10,000. How am I going to make them think like that?
Yeah.
So that's, to be honest, that's kind of the whole book fleshed up into that sentence. How am I going to make them think that they should have spent more money?
Yeah. Just make it a no-brainer offer.
Or a monthly offer. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
An offer too good to refuse. So I love that because Lewis went through 100 plus or whatever it was potential problems a client or customer could have, and then all the possible solutions they could have as well. And I just feel like to answer anything 100 times takes immense mental capacity. Immense mental capacity. And literally when you write something 100 times or more, particularly different answers to it, like you're actually building new neural pathways as well.
Okay.
Like Dr. John DeMartini talks about this quite a bit. And a lot of the exercises he does, there's a lot of answering the same question multiple times.
Okay.
So I'm curious to know for you, Lewis, by actually going through that exercise, coming up with all these different 100 problems and then the solutions, how did that actually change you as a person and your thinking?
To be honest, it just made everything more clear. Like, I'm selling bikes, and I know enough about selling bikes. I know enough about bikes, but now I know how to explain it to someone that doesn't know anything about bikes. So, if I had that example about how do I know if a bike's not stolen? I just look at the bike, and the person that brought it in's missing teeth, and it's the wrong frame size for them, and I'm like, isn't that obvious? Might not be obvious for some people. So now I can tell them, this is what an obvious thing would be. This is what a slightly less obvious thing would be. It's missing a serial number, or fleshing that out. So it's more just about how I can explain, or I can answer. I can explain like any solution to anyone, regardless of how much they know about bikes. Like you were saying before, that you're not necessarily a cyclist, but your dad is.
Yeah.
So the things that I would say to your dad, I could. Don't take this rude. It's just the way that I'm going to say it. But I could like dumb that down to a point that a non-cyclist could understand it as well. Which is kind of the way that I treat all these YouTube videos as well, because they're off of the problems and solutions. We turn them into some YouTube videos as well. Yeah.
Now, just on that as well, because Lewis has a very, he's got a growing Instagram channel and YouTube channel as well. It's gone really well. So I was on there this morning to over 3,600 and something subscribers on the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
But what you've done with all these problems, you've turned them into YouTube videos or Instagram videos as well, haven't you?
Not necessarily all of them. I think some of them are difficult to get into videos, because if there's 100 problems that I've written down, we've definitely done quite a few of them, like how to check if a bike is safe before going on a ride, or how to ride on the road safely, or how to use clip-in pedals, or we've done all these sorts of videos. I think we've got maybe 150 10 to 20 minute YouTube videos now. So we're pushing YouTube a lot. So thanks for watching this on YouTube if you already are.
That's it. And subscribe to that as well if you haven't.
Subscribe.
Do all those things.
All that call to action. Tell your friends, whatever.
Yeah.
But I genuinely actually do have fun making these videos anyway. It's probably pretty evident in the videos. But problems and solutions, turn them into videos so that I can obviously explain to you. And that's a one-on-one, me explaining to you how to get past that problem. But if I can explain it as, if I could record myself doing a little video and talking to the camera, a little, selfie. Hey, thanks for sending me a message. Here's how you can get past that problem.
Yeah.
That is a way that I could do it to like a small group, because I can send that video to specific little people. But then I can go like another step even bigger. And if I film a video or do a podcast, then that's like a one-to-many thing. So I could try and fix that problem or help that problem for some people, but to like a large group.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the YouTube video stuff's about. So
I like that. And I like that you've got, I guess, the content arm to your business as well, because obviously selling bikes is your bread and butter, that's what you do.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that there's quite a bit of thought going into your online, your YouTube channel, your Instagram channel as well. That's fair to say.
Huge. Yeah, that's a big part of my life at the moment.
Yeah.
And my brand.
Do you see that potentially being the biggest part of it?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that very often. I think I like the sound of that though. And this is going to sound again just so like cringe and blasé and whatever, but I think I want to be known. Like when I go to the bike races and somebody walks up and they're like, "Oh, I've seen you on TikTok." Sounds silly, but that fills me up.
Yeah. So being recognised for your gifts.
Yeah. Or someone's like, "Oh, I know. I watched a video about how to change a tube and I did it for the first time on the weekend." That happened at a race the other week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wipe my smile
Really?
all day. Yeah.
And you don't know this person, just a random person?
Random person. They came and tapped me on the shoulder while I'm in line to order a coffee, and they're like, "Oh, I watched you on YouTube last week and you taught me."
Yeah.
Really cool. So I'm starting to realize that I really do enjoy that. I enjoy making the videos, but I know you're not supposed to, and it's a little bit probably materialistic and whatever, but I do enjoy the recognition. So I think if I can be out there just giving away all this stuff for free, I've spent like 30 grand on these YouTube videos and I haven't made $1 off of any of it. We might be signed up for AdSense on YouTube, but maybe I'm not getting paid for it anyway. But if I can just give away everything for free, it's kind of like just building the base of the pyramid, the foundation of it. And I'm not asking for money. I just want people to think that recycled bicycle sales is the best thing out there.
Yeah.
Or Lewis is the best thing out there. And then when they walk into the shop, they're like, "Oh, it's just Lewis. Oh, it's my mate."
Yeah.
Even though they've never met me.
Yeah.
But they've already had so much help, so much I've helped them so much that I hope they walk in and they, we kind of think we're friends already almost.
Yeah. Because they binged watched your content.
Yeah. I love it.
And it's cool. I think I'm the same. I really value being recognised for my gifts, as do you. And I feel like everyone values being recognised for their gifts. And I feel like that's why I love interviewing people like you and all these different people that I interview on this podcast, is because there's no one size fits all formula for success and living a successful life and building wealth, etc. I believe that everyone has their own unique ability within themselves, their own gifts and superpowers, and it's like our role to uncover that and to reveal that over time.
Yes.
And it feels incredible to be recognised for those gifts as you start to peel back the layers and find what your unique ability is.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're not allowed to say it out loud, but we all like it when someone looks at us
100%.
a little bit.
100%.
I know that some of us, we're introverted and whatever, but we still like it when someone's like, "Hey, good job doing that thing," and you're like, "Me?
Yeah.
You're looking at me?"
Yeah.
I think we all like that a little bit, so I'm starting to realise that I like that now.
Yeah, it is, and that's it. Especially when you can impact a stranger's life, you've never met them before.
That's the coolest.
Yeah, because you never know. You never know who's watching out there. But you just got to start somewhere, and it can be daunting putting yourself out there on social media or YouTube or podcasting for the first time. But once you start to be recognised or receive feedback from people you don't even know or people that you may have known, but they don't engage with this stuff, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, the trick is not to look at the comment section as well, I think, sometimes. Yeah. Or maybe I'm at that volume now that that's the way I got to look at it.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a good problem to have, though.
I'll find a solution for it.
Now, threading back to the customer service thread we were on earlier, also next to Lewis's shop here, he's also got recycled bicycle coffee. There you go. Got the mug as well.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with a coffee shop.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yeah, I know. So I love that you've brought the coffee business to the cycling business as well. How has that impacted what you do?
Well, first of all, that was phase 2 of the roadmap. So now we're on to phase 2 now, and phase 3 is hopefully October, November, if all goes to plan and no hurdles come up. which they will.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the coffee shop. I drink a lot of coffee. I really enjoy coffee. I decided I was spending too much money at other coffee shops, and I just thought, like, I reckon I can start a coffee shop, and I don't think it has to be that expensive and that difficult. So, yeah, got a linked up with Segafredo, the coffee bean company.
Yeah.
And I got a nice machine from them. We got some good beans and all the milk distributors and whatever. We just linked it all up. And I did it with my sister, my sister Charlie. We were. It sounded like a joke at the start. We're like, oh, let's do a coffee shop, and I'm like, no, that's the next part that I have. So how are we gonna make it work? That's what I want. And I reckon from the moment that we said, let's start thinking about it, it was like 6 weeks maybe before we had our first sale. And I've got a Polaroid of the first sale.
Oh, yeah.
I love my Polaroid camera.
Yes.
But yeah, bikes and coffee go together. And again, going back to the customer service sort of thing that you were saying, I just want to be someone's friend. So if they buy a bike for whatever $2,500, and I'm like, oh, I'm quickly just going to give it a final check over, make sure the tires are pumped up. Do you want to grab a coffee while you're waiting? Hey Charlie, can you make a free coffee for for Daniel? Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just a nice little value add. So it's not really so much about making money, which you'll probably learn is like a reoccurring theme with the way that I talk. But yeah, it's just being a nice community. People have a reason to come here. So I also started thinking that when people come to my bike shop, and if they want to be the nice person that supports small business and that kind of thing, as a lot of people like to these days, support small business, to support this small business, to buy a bike, you've got to spend minimum of $1,000. It kind of makes it a little bit difficult. But now they can come in and buy a coffee and meet my sister and have a walk around and maybe take an Instagram photo in the shop or whatever. And they're still supporting small business, but it only costs them $5.
Yeah.
And they get a coffee. So
I think it's a brilliant value add as well. And
value add.
People people love drinking coffee. It's like a cultural thing. You feel coffee's one of those things that you don't have to sell that to people. People just line up for coffee. Like people want to buy coffee. So it's great that you can facilitate that, but also incorporate it into your main business as well. And it's kind of like, if you think in other businesses, sometimes it's good to have that low cost kind of offer before people go ascension to the higher thing. So because not everyone's going to be prepared to hand over $1,000 plus for a bike, but pretty much everyone is willing to pay $5 for a coffee and have a conversation, and then through that, other good things can happen.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of puts everyone at ease a little bit, because they're just sitting at a cafe, they're sitting with their friends at the cafe and whatever. Oh, I might look at the bike shop while I'm here because we've come all the way here, and as they're walking around, they're like, oh, I haven't had my bike service in a while. I might quickly book it in. So we kind of help each other out. If we're talking about them being two different businesses, they kind of help each other out a little bit. Yeah.
I'm actually curious. Was the coffee thing? Was that part of? Did that come out of the 100 problems and solutions from the Hormozy exercise?
No.
That was
an additional one. That's a really fair thought though. But no, that didn't come to me when I was doing that. Maybe it should have. I could have done 101 problems.
There's always more that you can dig into. But I thought that could have come up easily just to enhance the offer. Or some more.
Yeah, it's a good idea. No, I didn't, but that would have been good. Yeah, but it's just a value add. It's not about making more money. It's not about. It's just about making people just happy. And also, my nana is the cleaner. She cleans around. So it's also just a really good excuse to see my nana as well. So it works out really well. I think now I call this a family business because my sister and my nana are here, which sounds silly, but it makes me smile. So
yeah, I love it. I mean, the way you talk, you remind me often of the Zig Ziglar quote, the famous quote: "If you make other people's dreams come true, then yours will get taken care of." I feel like you live that philosophy.
I'm gonna get that tattooed. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah. You haven't heard that one?
No, I haven't. No.
Zig Ziglar, he's one of the OGs of the personal development game. He's a brilliant speaker. He's obviously long passed away now.
Okay.
But that was his big thing, and people often re-quote it. But yeah, if you help enough people make their dreams come true, then yours will get taken care of.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what I feel like you're doing here.
Oh, okay. I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And that's the thing, because I think money, I think, again, money. Sometimes people put money on a pedestal, but money is just a byproduct of providing great value and service. And I feel like what you're doing here, you're providing great value and service to people. You're always thinking about how you can improve it, and then the will come as a byproduct.
And obviously, money's obviously cool. I mean, it's literally the name of your podcast as well, Money Mastery. So, money's always going to be a thing, but it can't be like the driving factor.
Yeah.
If I wanted to really make money, and I wanted to like in my Lambo and whatever, if I really wanted that kind of life, truth be told, I probably wouldn't be running a service-based business like a bike shop.
Yeah.
I'd probably be figuring out how the stock market works or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crypto, whatever. And yes, obviously I love money, like, car, whatever. You got to pay your house, that sort of thing, but it can't be the driving factor. And the dumb thing is, like, when I was younger, like, that's not the way that I would have thought. And there's probably some kid at home that's like, nah, I want this, and I want to buy that, and I want to buy that, and I want to buy that. Yeah, I want to buy all those things as well, obviously. But like, once you get a little bit older and you sort of have a little bit more experience on your shoulders, that stuff's all cool. But it's so much more fun if you're driving your Ferrari with your best friend in the passenger seat. That's what makes it more fun than just driving the Ferrari. So, well, actually, I don't have experience with that. I don't have a Ferrari, but
hey, if you want one day, I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
But I guess the main thing what you're saying is, money is not the goal. Like that's not the goal for you.
Yeah.
And even like this podcast, it's called Money Mastery with Marshy.
Yeah.
But I've often said to people, money mastery to me, it's actually the journey of self mastery. And if you do want to master your money or any aspect of life, you've got to master yourself.
Yeah.
And the more that you grow yourself as a byproduct, typically your income and your wealth will grow as well.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, like, over this journey, how have you grown as a person?
That's a great. Oh man, that's such a great question. How have I grown as a person? I think I try to. I've always been a bit of a people pleaser, and I don't think that's necessarily changed, but I think that's kind of become a little bit more exaggerated now, as a good thing. Like, as in, I think a lot about how that person's going to feel if I do something or if I help them out. How else have I grown as a person? I've learned to enjoy work, which I think if you're doing something that you actually enjoy, it doesn't really feel like work a lot of the time. Like, sometimes I'll be here till like 11 o'clock at night, and obviously it's not fun, but it's not like my boss is telling me that I got to stay here till 11 o'clock at night. I'm doing it because I want to do it. I don't really have much of a better answer than that. I think I just enjoy life. Or Jimmy Carr said, enjoying the meaning of life is enjoying the passage of time. I think that's pretty true as well. Yeah.
Well, you made some big, bold moves to get to where you are. Like, it's not easy to go down this path.
Thank you.
So there would be a lot of growth that's happened there. I mean, just, leaving, working for someone else before working in a bike shop just to do your own thing. Like, within that, like, what had to happen within you to make that step?
Well, I'll be honest. I feel like it was kind of not necessarily forced upon me, but it was very much like brought to a pinpoint. It's like, this is the moment. I was working at a bike shop, at another bike shop here in Adelaide, a really big, prominent bike shop. Yeah. And COVID happened, and people would walk into the bike shop with $10,000 cash and a rubber band, and they'd say, "Can I buy a bike?" And I would say, "No. There's just no bikes in the world. They're not made. They're years in production. Like, you're not going to see your bike for 3 years. I'm not going to take your money yet."
Is that what happened during that time?
It was ridiculous.
Far
it was
out.
ridiculous. But I used that as my trampoline into secondhand stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you literally could not buy a bike. I think it was the same with most things. If you needed to buy a new fridge, it was difficult. If you needed to get a new radiator for your car, whatever, I think everything was difficult. But I was working in the bike shop, so I knew about bikes. And because of that, a lot of my customers wanted to like sell their old bike, or their wife's on their back, they've got too many bikes, or whatever the story is, and they would have to sell their bike. So I would help them sell their bike, and I'd put it up on Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree kind of thing, and I'd take a little cut, so I get paid for my time, sort of thing. And I'd have one bike, and then all of a sudden the next week I might have 2 bikes, and then 3, and then it kind of just grew and grew and grew to the point that I just couldn't really walk around my house anymore.
So you basically built a little side hustle during that COVID period.
Yes, little side hustle with the help from staff at the bike shop I was working at. They're like, if somebody wanted to sell a bike, they'd be like, "Oh, speak to Lewis. He sells the secondhand bikes." So I was getting referrals through my colleagues, and then the boss of the business had just sort of decided that it probably wasn't quite the right sort of I don't know. I was cutting his lunch a little bit, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. That's a way better way to put it. Yeah. There was no like middle finger or anything like that, but it was. I don't think he was necessarily stoked about it. And one day he just pulled me into the back room and he's like, "Lewis, like, if you're gonna do anything, do it 100%." And I remember in that moment being like, "Shit, like it's like right now." So he's like, "All right, so by the end of this conversation, are you here or are you there?" And I'm like, "Whoa." Like, oh my gosh, I'm sweating, all my hairs are standing up. I'm like, oh my God, all I do is shaking. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back me every time. And then he puts his hand out for a handshake, and we shook hands, and then that was it.
Because you would have only been, 21 at the time?
20, probably more like 22, 23 maybe.
Yeah. Still, that's young though, that's young.
Yeah. Young, and I had a mortgage. I bought my house at the start of COVID. I got super duper lucky before the price rise stuff. And that's a whole nother story. And I remember, another little money side quest here. I remember probably 3 months after I quit my job, and I'm running this business out of my house. And as you can probably tell by the way I'm talking, money's obviously cool, but it's not all about how am I going to squeeze the most money out of it. So I was doing enough to help my customers out. Probably 3 months went by of me selling some bikes here and there, and I was taking my dog for a walk, and I went down to the local coffee shop just down near my house, and I walked in, and I was like, "Hi, just a flat white, thank you." And I've like, pay waved it with my phone, declined. I'm like, "Oh, classic, of course it is." Hang on, Mr. Barista, one moment. Let me just quickly go into my phone and just transfer it out of my savings or whatever. I opened it up, and all the other accounts were zero. I was like, fuck, I'm literally broke. I've got $5 in my account, and coffee was $5.50.
Really? So out of all your accounts, you had $5?
Full stop. I probably had a couple of coins somewhere at home maybe, but I wasn't going to walk home and do that and come back. I was like, I'm defeated. I'm done for the day. So because I was in a pretty tight money phase, I finished my walk with my dog. We went past Coles or whatever, and I got I think I got bread and cheese or bread and ham or whatever it was, so I could make a sandwich for lunch. Oh man, it sounds so stupid, but yeah, coffee was $5.50 and I had $5.
So was this during COVID, was it?
Yeah, during COVID. This would have been 2020, when did we start? 2022, probably early 2022 maybe.
Yeah, far out.
And yeah, man, I don't ever want to go back to that, hey. That was
that like one of the low points of your journey?
Yeah, I probably had a few different rock bottoms. Maybe not rock bottoms. I seem to find a new bottom, a new low point. Peaks and troughs. You're supposed to have bad days, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's also when you learn the most, which is a weird one. So yeah, money, coffee declining, coffee pay wave declining. That sucked heaps. I had a break in at home. That sucked a lot. That was when I started doing I have a journal entry from that as well. That was pretty ugly. I had a break into the shop here. That was probably my low point, but man, that turned into such a wicked win. So,
I mean, look at what you built now, like from having $5 in your bank account to what you've created.
Yeah. I remember asking my dad for money at that point. And that's like, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, "Dad, I've got a mortgage coming out in like 3 days.
Yeah. And
there's no way that I'm going to make whatever it was, $1,000 in 3 days. There is no way. And I promise I'll never do this again." He's like, "Lewis, don't worry about it. You can always, borrow money. We'll always help you out, whatever." I don't want a handout though.
Yeah.
I am on the floor. And now I've just gone and bought ham and cheese. So now I'm literally down. It sounds funny now, but at the time it sucked heaps.
That would suck.
Yeah. But I grew from it, so that's right.
In that moment, was it like a line in the sand moment or a commitment made?
It, it it was just like I felt like in the moment, like I looked at my account, like just silence around me. Like I couldn't hear the conversations of people anymore. I was like, "Fuck, what's my backup plan now?" But I didn't like walk outside and say out loud, "I'm never gonna be like this again," or "I'm never doing that," or "I'm gonna get better." I never kind of did that. I was just like, I have to make money now because mortgage. I've got a dog, so he's gonna eat. All this sort of stuff. So yeah, there wasn't like a moment after it. It was just like coffee declined, and I had to have money. Like bills are coming out regardless of whether I'm getting paid or not. So I had no backup plan, which is, I think it's a pretty cool way that I look at life as well. I don't let backup plans into my head. I don't think about plan B.
So you weren't tempted to go and get a job?
No, not
at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And that probably sounds like a bad thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job.
No,
there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job. And yeah, I enjoyed talking about bikes. My customers like me. I'm too happy like being in charge, I suppose, to let someone else be in charge again.
Yeah, so it sounds like you deep down you knew what you wanted, and even though there was that hurdle, you were sticking to what you wanted.
I knew it was going to work. I obviously just hadn't lined something up yet. Like maybe there was more money going out every week than there was money coming in, sort of thing. I can't remember exactly how I got past it, but I found a way past it, which I think you always will find a way past it anyway, because it's just a bad day. You wake up the next day and you're happy again, and you know you'll maybe contact more customers and try and find $10 here and $20 there. So yeah, you'll always make it work. But that was my first proper low point.
That's the thing. I remember one of my mentors, coaches from a few years back. You know, he told me that if you back yourself, the universe or God will back you as well. And I feel like in that moment, you've obviously backed yourself, and then things will turn. Like it's always going to turn when you're backing yourself. So that's what you did.
I think that you should always do that for anything. It's not about winning. It's about staying in the fight and enjoying the fight. You kind of got to enjoy the daily tasks. Like obviously getting like $1 million dropped into your bank account, I'm sure is cool. But earning that $1 million is probably also pretty cool, I reckon.
It is, and it's like the $1 million. People sometimes want $1 million, but it's like again, it's a result. It's a byproduct, and first you've got to become the character and develop the skills for someone to be able to do that, and that's where the true joy and satisfaction is. It's actually becoming that person and developing those skills, which is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And actually, just speaking of that, because actually on your Instagram page, there is something I noticed: millionaire in the making. God. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I know money's not the end goal or anything, but tell me about that a little while.
Money's not the end goal, but man, if I have $1 million, I could give 10 grand to like my sister and it just whatever.
Yeah.
And that would just fix so many things. Like, obviously, I want the fancy Porsche and the house and all those things and whatever. But being a millionaire is more than just money as well. I think I'm sure I have met lots of millionaires.
You would have. I'm sure there's a few on your wall here.
Yeah. Thank you. And the millionaires are usually pretty nice people from my experience. And billionaires the same as well. I've got one in here. And they're just literally nice people. You can't become a millionaire or just in general wealthy or good at life by being a snake. Like I think there's just an aura around you. It just kind of smells like if you made your money, for example, you made it through like drug dealing or something like that, and obviously you've made your money and well done, but maybe there's just a little bit of a different aura around that. And that was maybe a bad example because they can run a whole empire with staff and everything, but you can make your money so many different ways, and I think money is a cool byproduct, but it's the person that you become on the way. And you don't just make $1 million in 6 months.
No.
I mean, I'm sure there's crypto people out there or whatever that do, but yeah, I've been working at this business like solely in this room for almost 3 years now, and I'm pretty proud of the person that I'm becoming. So money will be cool, but money will just be a byproduct of the person that I've become. Yeah. That thought all just came to me while I was saying that there, but I think that sounds pretty bang on.
Yeah, I like it. And I feel like when you're following your gifts, your superpowers, the things that you enjoy that you clearly are, and you're working on it every day. And have you heard of Naval Ravikant?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of his podcast that I've listened to. No, I can't remember it.
That's okay.
You got it though.
No, well, I don't recall it either. But Naval, he has this saying, and he says, what question, what feels like, what looks like play to you? No, what feels like play to you, but looks like hard work to other people.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you find that for yourself, then you've kind of unlocked one of the cheat codes of life.
Yeah.
So for you, it's like what you're doing probably feels like play for you, but for me or for someone else on the outside looking in, it's like far out. That looks like hard work. What Lewis is doing.
I wish there was a cheat code to find that for somebody, because there's probably people at home that are like, oh, I want to do all this work and I want to build this amazing thing, but I don't know what I enjoy. I wish there was a cheat code that I could try and give.
Well, I reckon there is a little bit of a cheat code. Well, not fully, but I feel like your past gives you clues. I feel like in your past, there's little breadcrumbs that reveal what you're doing now in your future. So what I would ask you, Lewis, is if you look back to your childhood growing up, what were those little breadcrumbs in your past that maybe gave away some clues as to what you would now be doing and pursuing?
Yeah, okay. Bikes have always been part of my life. I've always ridden bikes. I've met my best friends even to today, like still my best friends through bikes. We all met when I was like 10 odd years old. Now I'm 26. So
that's a big clue there.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020, isn't it? I didn't realize that at the time, but apparently that's an important part. I've always liked helping people. I used to run fundraisers as a kid. I remember once I raised funds. We had like a mountain bike jumps competition. Whoever could do the coolest trick, got a photo or whatever, or was a little trophy I made or something like that. And everyone had to pay $10 or $5 to get in, and we were selling cans of drink for $3, and they cost me 60 cents or whatever. And all the money that I made, it was like $300. I gave it to the racing club, Inside Line Mountain Bike Club, and that felt so good, just helping someone out like that. So maybe that shows that I liked helping people from an early age. Maybe.
Well, that shows that I guess you had a bit of a business and entrepreneurial mindset, but at the same time showed that you liked helping people, and it felt great being able to give that away or give it back to something that's meaningful.
Yeah. I guess so, yeah. I liked the community of it too.
Yeah. And if you continue, that could be a good journal prompt or something to reflect on. It's like, what are those breadcrumbs from my past that reveal those things to me, or those significant events that happened? Because you'll see it, like Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. And if you looked backwards now at all those little breadcrumbs,
it seems obvious.
That roadmap we spoke about at the start of this, they will all line up in those different pieces to where you are now.
Oh, epic. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. No, I do too. Yeah.
Well, Lewis, mate, this has been really fun unpacking your story, unpacking what you've built here at Recycled Bicycles. I'm really keen to see what comes from this, and I want to see your vision continue to unfold.
Thank you.
So if people are really enjoying what you're about and they want to learn more about you and follow your journey, what are the best spots for them to follow you?
I've always wanted to do this. Thank you for that. That was cool. I've really enjoyed this podcast, by the way. This has been really cool. Our business is Recycle Bicycle Sales. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We do a lot on YouTube. That's something that I'm really pushing at the moment. We've probably got like 150 videos, and they're, how to fix a flat tire, or how to use clip-in pedals, or how to check if the bike's safe, or whatever. So anything you want to know about bikes, we've probably got a 10 or 20 minute video about it. We are, at the moment, at the time of recording this video, we're in Beulah Park, 260 McGill Road, but that's all about to change later in the year, which is a very good news, but I don't think I'm going to make that super known just yet. But we'll still be in the same kind of area, still in Adelaide, South Australia, just east of the city, and we're looking at moving into McGill, so just a little bit further up the road. But we're obviously a bike shop here. We can help you sell your pre-owned bike. We can help you buy your first, racing bike or mountain bike or electric bike or whatever it is. Servicing, repairs, all the bike shop things that you think of, parts and accessories, that kind of thing. So, yeah, happy to help out in, to be honest, kind of whatever you need. We're happy to help out. It's anything to do with bikes.
There you go. And guys, even if you're not into bikes, come down, grab a coffee with Lewis as well. Grab the coffee because you can still support in that way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Got the mug. So come down, grab a coffee. And hey, if you enjoy this episode, make sure, you leave a 5-star review, subscribe on whatever channel that you're watching as well. And share this episode with someone who you think would benefit from listening to Lewis's story. Because again, it is so powerful to share these stories. And like I've said earlier, everyone's got their own unique gift and skill set and superpowers waiting to be unlocked. And it's awesome that you've unlocked yours, Lewis. I can't wait to see what's next for you, mate.
Thank you. That was such an epic outro.
Thank you. All good, mate.
Nice. See you.
See you guys.